The night I destroyed my marriage began with a knock. Rain lashed the windows as Ronald's package strained against his jeans, his gaze devouring my watermelons through my soaked silk robe. I should have shut the door. Instead, I let his calloused hands peel it off, his whiskey breath hissing. "You're starving for it." By the time his fingers plunged into my pot, the storm outside was nothing compared to the one we made on the foyer floor. 10 minutes. That was all it took to trade 9 years of vows for a delivery guy's lies. This is my confession. Before I continue, thank you to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. Your support fuels these raw, unfiltered confessions. To those still lingering on the edge, hit that button. I cannot wait to welcome you into this community. Now, let us begin. My name is Betty Holloway. At 34, I had everything. A Victorian home in Connecticut, a boutique floral business, and Jason, my husband of 9 years. Jason was stable. A financial advisor with a smile as polished as his Rolex. We were the couple others envied, until loneliness became my shadow. Enter Ronald. He was the new delivery guy for Gourmet Eats, a meal kit service Jason insisted we use to spice up our routine. Ronald had a smirk that lingered too long and eyes that dissected my silk robe. His first words? "Rough night?" I had been crying. Jason had forgotten our anniversary, but I lied. Allergies. He did not believe me. Weeks passed. Ronald's deliveries grew frequent. He would lean against the doorframe, swapping small talk about the weather or my hydrangeas. Once, he brushed my hand, reaching for the package. His skin was calloused, electric. I pulled away, but my pulse raced. Then came the night Jason was in Chicago for a conference. The storm knocked out the power. When the doorbell rang, Ronald stood drenched, holding a bottle of Merlot. "Complimentary," he said. "For loyal customers." I should have refused. Instead, I invited him in. The moment Ronald stepped inside, the air thickened with a scent of rain and reckless possibility. Lightning split the sky, casting his face in sharp relief, a stranger in my foyer, yet somehow familiar in his danger. The power outage left us in candlelight, shadows dancing like accomplices. He handed me the Merlot, his fingers grazing mine. "You should not be alone tonight," he said. His voice was low, a rumble beneath the storm. I told myself it was pity, but his eyes betrayed hunger. I poured 2 glasses, my hands unsteady. The wine tasted bitter, or perhaps that was the lie on my tongue. Jason would not notice, I thought. Jason never notices. Ronald spoke of trivial things, the chaos of delivery routes, his disdain for corporate clients. Yet every word felt deliberate, a spider weaving silk. He leaned closer, his knee brushing mine on the couch. Heat radiated from him, primal and undeniable. When he traced the curve of my wrist, I did not pull away. The storm crescendoed. A tree branch shattered a window upstairs, and I jumped. Ronald steadied me, his hands firm on my shoulders. "I will fix it," he said, but he did not move. His breath warmed my neck, and suddenly his lips were there, pressed against my pulse. One hand slid down to grip my watermelon, squeezing with rough possession. I gasped as his other hand fumbled with his belt, freeing his package, thick and urgent. Logic drowned in the roar of rain. He pushed me onto the couch, his mouth devouring mine. My robe fell open, and his calloused fingers tugged at the lace between my legs. "Soaked already," he muttered, slipping a finger into my pot. I arched, shame and need colliding. His package pressed against my thigh, demanding entry. When he shoved inside my pot, I cried out not in pain, but in surrender. His thrusts were relentless, the couch slamming against the wall as he grunted into my ear, "Knew you wanted this." My watermelon bounced with every snap of his hips, his hands anchoring me in place. The storm outside mirrored the chaos within, a frenzy of heat, friction, and ruin. Afterward, he dressed in silence. The candles had burned low, the room now a tomb. His package glistened in the dim light before he tucked it away, his smirk sharpened by shadows. "See you soon, Betty." It was not a promise. It was a threat. I scrubbed my skin raw in the shower, but his scent lingered. At 2:17 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Ronald. "You taste like regret." Jason's flight landed in 4 hours. I stared at the ceiling, tears searing my cheeks. The storm had passed, but the damage was eternal. Jason returned home with tulips, my favorite. Their petals, vibrant and unblemished, mocked the rot festering inside me. He kissed my forehead, his lips warm and trusting, and asked about my week. I spoke of mundane things: floral orders, the storm, a leak in the attic. Lies dripped like honey, sweet and suffocating. Ronald's texts arrived in relentless waves. "Miss me yet?" At dawn. "Your husband's clueless" at midnight. Each notification pulsed like a live wire, jolting me into a sweat. I deleted them, but his words etched themselves into my bones. Guilt gnawed at me during yoga classes, client meetings, even in the shower, where scalding water could not cleanse his memory. Jason noticed nothing. He cooked dinners, garlic sizzling, laughter light, and recounted office politics with cheerful detachment. His kindness was a blade. One evening, as he massaged my shoulders after a long day, I flinched. His hands felt foreign, tainted by comparison. "You seem tense," he said. I wanted to scream. Desperation drove me to Jason's home office. He kept it locked, a habit he had adopted after a client's data breach, but the key lay beneath his late father's biography. Dust motes swirled in the stale air as I sifted through files, unsure what I sought. Then, tucked beneath a stack of tax returns, I found it, a faded Polaroid. Two teenagers grinned on a pier, arms slung over each other's shoulders. Jason, younger, softer, in a Yale hoodie. Beside him, Ronald. Same smirk, same wolfish eyes. The caption, scrawled in Jason's hand, read, "Me and Ronnie, Coney Island 99. Ice flooded my veins. A half-empty bourbon bottle clinked in the desk drawer. A newspaper clipping fluttered loose. Local heir Jason Holloway settles family estate lawsuit. The defendant's name? Ronald D. Marlowe. Half-brother. The word struck like a slap. Jason had never mentioned a sibling. Downstairs, the doorbell rang. Ronald stood on the porch, holding a package. His gaze slid to the photo clutched in my hand. "Betty, Betty," he tooted. Curiosity killed the marriage, did it not? Jason stopped wearing his wedding ring first. He claimed it irritated his skin during workouts, but his left hand now looked naked, vulnerable. His laughter grew sparse, replaced by clipped replies and a habit of staring at his phone. I told myself it was stress. I told myself I deserved his distance. The journal had vanished from my nightstand. I tore apart the bedroom, shaking out books, upturning pillows. Panic clawed up my throat. Jason had left for work early, something he had not done in years. When he returned that evening, his face was a mask of glacial calm. He placed a leather-bound notebook on the kitchen island, my journal, open to the entry dated the night of the storm. "Explain." His voice was a blade. I could not. The words I had scribbled in shame, Ronald's hands, the taste of wine, how Jason would never know, glared back at me. My knees buckled. I reached for him, but he recoiled as if my touch were poison. "Who is he?" Jason demanded. When I choked out Ronald's name, his face paled. "Ronald Marlowe?" The truth spilled like blood. Jason confessed Ronald was his father's illegitimate son, conceived during an affair that shattered their family. A bitter lawsuit over inheritance had severed their bond decades ago. He swore he would make me pay, Jason said, voice cracking. I did not think. I never imagined you. That night, Jason slept in the guest room. I pressed my ear to the door, hearing muffled sobs. My own tears were silent, corrosive. Ronald texted at dawn, $50,000 by Friday, or Jason learns the rest. The rest was a video, a clip from that night, my moans echoing over thunder. He had filmed it. Of course he had filmed it. We met in a derelict parking lot. Ronald leaned against his truck, grinning. Family discount, he said. I slapped him. He caught my wrist, twisting until I gasped. Pay up, or I send it to his clients. Maybe post it online. Florist wife ruins banker hubby. Great clickbait. I emptied our joint savings, wired the money, and vomited in the bathroom. But Jason was already gone. The divorce papers arrived on a Tuesday. Jason's lawyer had highlighted every clause in yellow, irreconcilable differences, irreparable breakdown, as if the ink could quantify my shame. I signed them at the kitchen island, the same spot where Jason had unraveled me months prior. My penmanship wavered. The B in Betty looked broken. Ronald did not stop. He demanded another payment, this time double. You think 50 grand silences me forever? He sneered over the phone. You are my retirement plan. I hung up, but he appeared everywhere. Outside my boutique, in the grocery store parking lot, once leaning against my car with a cigarette dangling from his lips. His presence was a plague, a reminder that some sins metastasize. We met for the last time at Holloway Park, a place Jason and I had picnicked in happier days. Ronald arrived late, boots crunching dead leaves. Where is my money? He said. The sunset painted his face orange, grotesque and gilded. I told him there was nothing left. He laughed, pulling out his phone. Then let us give your ex a show. I lunged. The struggle was brief but brutal. He gripped my hair. I clawed his throat. His phone skidded into the dirt as we fell against the rusted swing set. Ronald's had struck the metal pole with a hollow crack. He slumped, eyes wide and unblinking. Blood seeped into the soil, dark as guilt. I did not call the police. They found him 2 days later, a homeless man identified through dental records. The news did not mention me. Jason's name surfaced in the obituary, survived by half-brother Jason Holloway, but he did not attend the funeral. Neither did I. The court finalized the divorce in November. Jason kept the house. I rented a studio above a laundromat, the walls thin enough to hear strangers' conversations. My boutique closed. Rumors had scorched my reputation. Some nights, I still smell Ronald's cologne, a phantom taunt, or wake to the sound of that crack, over and over, a lullaby of regret. I do not know if justice was served. I only know that I breathe, and that breathing feels like a sentence. To the viewers and listeners, this concludes a night of regret. Betty's journey is one of caution, consequence, and the haunting cost of weakness. Now, it is your turn. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Could you sympathize with her? Would you have made different choices? Like this video if the story gripped you, share it with someone who thrives on twisted tales, and subscribe to the channel for more raw, unfiltered confessions. Every click fuels this community. Thank you for watching. Until next time, remember, some doors, once opened, can never be closed.